Whenever you hear the word superfood, what's one of the first things that comes to mind? For a lot of us, it's gotta be blueberries, right? They're everywhere and they're always praised for being so good for us. But let's be honest, that word superfood gets thrown around a lot. So what's the real story here? Let's dig in.
We're gonna peel back the layers of marketing hype and get right to the hard evidence. Our mission here is to figure out if blueberries are just a really healthy, tasty snack, or if there's something truly special going on that earns them that superfood title. Okay, so before we can even touch on all those health claims, we have to ask a simple question. What is it inside a blueberry that makes it so special? Because this isn't about magic, it's about some pretty fascinating and powerful chemistry.
And the real star of the show here is a group of compounds called anthocyanins. Yeah, it's a bit of a mouthful, but stick with me. These are the pigments that give blueberries that incredible deep blue-purple color. But they do so much more than just look pretty. Inside our bodies, they act as powerful antioxidants. Now, you hear that word antioxidant all the time, but what does it actually do?
Well, here's maybe the best way to think about it. On a microscopic level, your body is in a constant battle against something called oxidative stress. And the best analogy for that is basically like cellular rust. Seriously, it's a natural process that can damage your cells over time if it gets out of hand.
So, how does this whole defense system work? Well, it's actually pretty simple. First, you have these unstable little troublemakers called free radicals, and they're the ones causing all that oxidative stress, that cellular rust. Then, antioxidants, like the anthocyanins from our blueberries, they swoop in and neutralize these free radicals. They basically stop them right in their tracks. And the end result? It's straightforward. Your cells are better protected from damage.
Okay, so now that we've got the basic science down, let's see where the rubber meets the road. Where is the evidence the strongest? Researchers have really zeroed in on how all this antioxidant action might translate to real-world benefits for our heart, our brain, and our overall metabolic health.
And wow, just look at this number, 32%. That is a huge deal. It comes from a massive study of over 93,000 women, and it found this incredible link, a connection between eating a lot of anthocyanin-rich foods, like blueberries, and having a significantly lower risk of a heart attack. But, and this is a big but, we need to be really smart about how we interpret numbers like this.
See, to really get what the science is saying, you have to know how scientists are getting these answers. On one hand, you've got these big population studies, like the one we just saw. They're amazing for spotting patterns and links in huge groups of people over many years. But on the other hand, you have clinical trials. These are the ones where scientists take direct control. One group gets real blueberries, another gets a fake one, a placebo. And in those kinds of studies, the results are often a bit more subtle.
And this table gives us a really good snapshot of what I mean. When you look at the direct clinical trials, it's kind of a mixed bag. The evidence for lowering blood pressure? Inconsistent. For improving insulin sensitivity? That's just how well your body handles sugar. Also mixed. But look at that third one, vascular function. That's the health and flexibility of our blood vessels. That one shows consistently positive results. It seems to be a real sweet spot for blueberries.
So with all that in mind, it's not surprising you find some really strong positive statements out there in the scientific community. This quote really sums up the optimistic take, right? It frames eating more blueberries as the safe, cheap, and really important way to help fight chronic disease.
But science is all about seeing the full picture. And in the very same year, you can find a much more cautious view. This one from the Alzheimer's Drug Discovery Foundation is kind of a reality check. They're basically saying, hey, blueberries are great, they're a fantastic addition to your diet, but they're not a magic bullet. They're not going to fix everything all on their own. They're just one piece of a much, much bigger puzzle.
But even if they aren't a solo magic bullet for your brain, the evidence for cognitive health is still pretty darn compelling. Get this, in another huge study, this one with 16,000 women over 70, those who ate the most blueberries had a much slower rate of cognitive decline. We're talking about their brains functioning as if they were 1.5 to 2.5 years younger. I mean, that's pretty incredible.
All right, so we've covered the big ones, heart health and brain health. But the research is always moving forward, right? Scientists are now pushing into some really exciting new frontiers, exploring other ways blueberries might be good for us.
And 3 of the absolute coolest areas right now are our gut health, how our bodies recover from exercise, and even some very early-stage research into anti-cancer properties. These fields are just starting to scratch the surface, and what they're finding is really interesting.
For a long time, we thought the benefits just came from the blueberry compounds themselves, but it might be way more complex. A leading theory now is that our gut bacteria, our microbiome, are the real heroes here. They take those blueberry compounds, break them down, and turn them into other beneficial molecules that then travel all over our body. So it's like we're not just feeding ourselves, we're feeding our friendly gut bugs too.
And this next one is for all you athletes out there, or even us weekend warriors. There's growing research that suggests blueberries can help your body deal with the inflammation that naturally happens after a tough workout. And what's really cool is it doesn't just block inflammation, it seems to help your body's own recovery systems work better to resolve it.
Now, this last one is super important to put in context. We are talking very early research here. This is in a lab, in a petri dish, not in people. But what they've found is that blueberry extract seems to have the ability to make certain types of cancer cells less viable. It's a long, long way from any kind of treatment for sure, but it's a really promising lead for scientists to follow up on.
Okay, deep breath. We have covered a lot of ground. The core science, the big health topics, and the cutting-edge research. So let's bring it all home. What's the bottom line? What does this actually mean for you when you're standing in the grocery store?
Well, if you're looking for a specific target, this is the number that keeps popping up in the research. Most of those clinical trials that found a real, measurable benefit, they were using a daily amount that's equivalent to about 1 to 2 cups of fresh blueberries.
All right, so let's wrap this all up with the key takeaways. What do you absolutely need to remember? Number 1, the strongest, most consistent evidence points to benefits for your heart health, especially the health of your blood vessels. 2, the science on brain benefits is definitely promising, but it's still a little bit mixed in those direct trials. 3, and this is crucial, they are a fantastic addition to a healthy diet, but they are not a magic bullet. And finally, the really good news, whether you like them fresh, frozen, or even freeze-dried, you're getting those wonderful benefits.
And that kind of leaves us with this really cool thought, doesn't it? Could the future of medicine, or at least a big part of it, be found right there in your fruit bowl? While no single food is ever going to be a miracle cure, the incredible science behind a simple blueberry shows that the tools for a healthier life might just be a lot simpler and way more delicious than we ever imagined.